If you're somebody who doesn't pay your credit card bills, then this video is for you. And the reason why you're saying this is because the algorithm have found out that you're not doing a proper job. But let me say this upfront. Paying the minimum on your credit card bill does not mean you are responsible. It just means you're doing your bare minimum to stay in the system. And that is the part that most people don't realize. If you only pay the minimum, you are ending up paying a lot of interest without buying anything new. Same card, the same spending, the same balance, just with a much higher final price. CNF have reported that the Singapore's unpaid credit card balance have crossed over to $9 billion, and that is honestly very confronting. This balance is of the highest record in the past 10 years, but what it really matters isn't the numbers, it's who's actually struggling now. The largest group that was reported seeking for help today isn't retirees, it's actually people in their 30s. So that's me. So working adult, parents, people who are earning but they are quietly falling behind. And that's when it hits me how crazy this has become. Not because people are reckless, but because the system quietly trains you to think, as long as I make the payment, or at least I paid something, I'm fine. But that belief is costing people years of progress without them even realizing it. So in this video, I want to cover two things. Number one, help you to understand why this is happening without all these fancy jargons or without any fear. And number two is to share with you how to deal with this properly without any extreme measures or without any shame. Because most people don't fail at money, they will simply never show the full picture. Hi, my name is Xiaoshen and I'm your money guide in Goodwill, and today we are going to be diving into this topic regarding credit card debts. So I remember clearly when I first got my debit card, it was during my poly days and it still felt like a mini adulthood. If I ever wanted to withdraw money or pay for something, that's where my debit card comes in. At that age, I didn't really see a debit card as a financial tool, but I see it as one thing. It acts as a signal. It meant I didn't have to ask anybody anymore. I could decide for myself. And then it came my first credit card. It was when I first started working and my friends were talking about promos like free items, cashback, the gadgets that you can get from this by signing up. And honestly, I didn't see it as a debt. I saw credit card as a form of validation. The bank trusts me for me to have this credit card because you need to be working and I must be capable enough for me to have this card. So I didn't ask questions like, how does the interest actually works, or what happens if I don't pay in full? I only asked a simple one. And that is, what can I get from this? And this matters because most people don't get into trouble with credit cards because they are careless. They get into trouble because credit card is introduced at the stage of life where identity matters more than consequences. So now let's talk about rollover debts. Rollover debts happens when you don't pay your full credit card bills and the remaining balance that you left behind rolls into the next month with interest. And that interest doesn't wait for you to feel ready.
I'm ready for you.
So here's how it usually starts. Month 1, you don't feel anything dangerous. You just look at the bill and think, okay, this month I'm feeling a bit tight, so I will just pay the minimum. And then for month 2, you still feel that it's manageable. You will tell yourself, next month will be better, the bonus is coming in, expenses will stabilize by then. It's okay for me to not pay the full amount. By month 3, something changes. You stop looking at the full amount, you only look at the minimum. By month 6, you're no longer asking, how do I clear this? Instead, you'll be asking, how do I survive this month? And that's where it gets crazier and crazier because that's when debt stops being a number, it starts becoming your background anxiety. Now, here's something important. I have never rolled over my credit card debts because I don't want to pay more than what I had to, but I still paid the price. Early in my careers, I was busy with life, with work, so I do also miss my payments before, and that's when I saw my bills coming in with late fees, interest charges. So number one, make sure that when your credit card bills comes in, do check it out. And when that happens, I usually call the banks to tell them, hey, can you waive off this late fees or this interest charges? If the response is, we can't do it for you, you have to pay first, then my next response is, okay, then you can just help me cancel the card. I'm not going to use your services anymore. That's when the banks usually will give in and say, okay, let me waive this for you, and please continue using our card. So this is usually the practices, but with some banks, not going to name names, but it starts with letter T. So this bank was very strict in terms of their late fees payment. So there's one time I texted the customer service to find out how I can waive off these late payments. So they say that, oh, since this is your first time, we're going to do it for you. And the second time this happened because that wasn't the bank I was using so frequently. I didn't have the habit, and that's when I forgot to pay. Similarly, I texted the customer service. This time around, they came back with a not so good experience for me. They told me this is not the first time you have made a late payment. Because of that, we are no longer going to waive off this amount. And that hits me. Because one late payment can cost you at least $100, not forgetting the interest charges. I thought if I don't make the payment, the credit card companies, the banks, they will find me to tell me that I need to make payments. And this is when I learned the hard way. Responsibility cannot be outsourced. Because I was so reliant on them thinking that they'll do this for me, it never happened, and that's when I'm getting charged. So if you have ever had credit cards, do make sure that you pay it on time, okay? And to be honest, the report by CNA isn't surprising because this hits me too. Back then when I just started my career, and that's when I gotten married. Suddenly the responsibility showed up all at once. Things like BTO, allowance to parents, thinking ahead of how can I support my family moving forward, and in consideration of kids as well. 4 elderly parents, my wife, and plus the kids. Wow, that's a lot of money that I need to have by then. So what made it heavy wasn't the money, it was the expectations. Being married meant I needed answers. I needed to be stable, I needed to be reliable. But internally, I was still figuring things out. I was earning, but I didn't feel secure. And the gap between expectations and reality, that's where stress lived. So I don't talk about money openly. I don't tell people that I'm feeling scared because I don't have enough. I just carried it quietly. If this feels uncomfortable to hear, that's totally normal. Because awareness always feels heavy before it starts feeling freeing. So if you're already in debt or you're rolling your credit card balance month after month, I want to help you. So here are 5 tips to get yourself out of debt or stop rolling your balance. Not theories, not optimizations, just practical steps. So tip number 1, awareness. If you want to stop rolling your credit cards, the first step isn't paying more, it's looking properly. The moment you only look at the minimum due, something dangerous happens. First, you stop managing debt and you start managing survival. So you have to ask yourself this every month. If I keep paying like this, am I actually reducing the problem? If the answer is no, that's your signal. So tip number 2, stop the bleed. You cannot repay old debts while creating new debts. And this is where most people struggle. Not because they don't understand, but because it hurts. Okay, I will stop next month. So instead of stopping the bleed, most people negotiate with themselves. They delay, and before you know it, the short-term pain have been avoided. But that's when the long-term stress is multiplied. Stopping the bleed isn't punishment, it's giving yourself a chance to recover. And tip number 3, pay with intention, not comfort. Minimum payment feels responsible. You paid something, you didn't default, but the minimum payment is about comfort, not progress. Intentional payments is different because you choose an amount that clearly reduces the balance and reduces the interest over time. Not because it feels good, but because it shortens the timeline that you need to pay. So paying more hurts once, but rolling debts hurts quietly every single month. You're not paying to look responsible, you are paying to regain that control. And tip number 4, don't rely on willpower. You need to build some structure because if discipline had worked, this problem that you're seeing right now isn't common anymore. So I used to tell myself this, I will be more disciplined next month. And when I failed, I thought something was wrong with me. But nothing is wrong. I just didn't have systems. So if you're somebody that's trying to get out of this, you need to create a system where you can automate your payments and you can align your due dates with your salary. As much as possible, you need to remove decisions before they become mistakes. And having a structure is kindness to your future self. So tip number 5, the most important one, reframe debt repayment completely because this is where it gets most people going. Now, if you don't really realize, every dollar of this high interest debt that you clear is actually a guaranteed return. No market volatility, no waiting, no struggling, no guesswork. This isn't about perfection that you have to clear all at once, but it's about the momentum. So most people aren't reckless, they just aren't aware. So before you click away, let me leave you with one last thought. Most people don't get into debt because they are irresponsible. They get into debt because they delay facing discomfort. They don't want to pay it upfront, so they pay it bit by bit over time. So rollover debt doesn't start with a big mistake. It starts with a small decision that feels reasonable in the moment. I will deal with it next month, I will deal with it once. It's not that bad yet. But here's the truth. Debt doesn't disappear because you're busy. It doesn't pause because you are stressed. And it doesn't go away because you are hoping for a better month. So the good news is this. You don't need to fix everything today. You don't need perfection and you don't need to figure it all out. Right? You just need one honest decision. One moment where you stop avoiding and start facing. Because every dollar you clear, every habit you change, and every system you put in place, that's not punishment. That's progress. So ask yourself this honestly. What is one money decision you have been avoiding? Start there. Not tomorrow, not next month, but today. And if this video has helped you see things more clearly, share it with somebody who needs to hear this too. Sometimes clarity is the biggest gift you can give. So my name is Xiaoxuan. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye. GWL's here to change the game. Empower your life, build your dreams, financial freedom.